That's good. Technology.
Wait.
Having some technological issues, so we'll wait patiently and talk about
Two
it. Still
little hands on either side.
good to go. Right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to committee members, members of the public and members of the staff team. Please ensure that your devices are either switched off or on silent mode whilst the meeting is in progress. Cell phone rings, we will pause the meeting to avoid any interruption. This meeting is being held in the supper room of the Waihinga Centre, Martinborough Town Hall. It is being live streamed and will be available to view on Council's YouTube channel. The emergency exits for this room are the door you came in through and the exit behind me. If we need to evacuate the building, please use one of the exits and assemble outside by the playground, which is sort of out on the front lawn area. Please remain at the assembly area until the building has been completely clear. In the event that we experience any unruly or intimidating behaviour during the course of this meeting, we will adjourn until it is safe for us to reconvene. Members of the council and all the committee and staff will congregate in the office area behind me if this action is necessary. I certainly hope that it is not. I will move on to the karakia for the morning. So councillors, please join me in the karakia. Kia ora.
Te marino. Ka whakapaparura me nāmu te moana. Kei huarahi mā tātou i te kani nei. Aroa hapatu, aroha mai. Tātou i a tātou katoa. Hui tai ki.
No apologies that I am aware of this. No. Any conflicts of interest, please? Any acknowledgements for, Councillor Elams?
No, I'll just jump in the gun.
An acknowledgement?
Acknowledgement.
Wonderful, take it away.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'd just like to a tribute to Terry McCarthy, who had been a long-term Martinborough resident. He died a couple of weeks ago, just after his 80th birthday. He had often said that he'd pretty much lived his whole life in Martinborough, except for probably about 3 or 4 hours when he was first born in the Featherston maternity ward, and his mother and he were out early, and he came to Martinborough and stayed. He had previously been a lineman with the old Wairaka Power Board, which has not been in existence for a number of years. So previously been a member of the Martinborough Fire Brigade and a contractor around Martinborough for a number of years. So he and his wife had raised a family here in Martinborough. Terry, unfortunately passed away through cancer a couple of weeks ago. So just pass condolences to whānau and friends of Terry's. Thanks.
Much for the tribute, and as you say, condolences to Terry's family. Any other tributes or acknowledgements this afternoon? That being the case, we will move on to public participation. So welcome to our public participants this morning. A reminder that presenters have 5 minutes to speak to the committee, including any question time. When you get to 4 minutes, Amy will raise her hand to indicate this, and at 5 minutes, I will let you know that your speaking time has come to an end. And just a reminder, both for participants and for committee members, public participation is quite a prescribed session. It doesn't unfortunately allow for conversation or the answering of questions, but it does allow for councillors to ask clarifying questions if there is time to do so. So please welcome our first public participant, Ryan Smock, to the table. Please come and join us, Ryan. So,
Hello.
Afternoon.
Yes.
feel comfortable, and when you're ready, Amy will start the timer. And as I said earlier, if there is time at the end, we would have the opportunity to ask you questions of clarification.
That's brilliant. Okay.
Ready?
Good morning and thank you for the opportunity to address council today. My name is Ryan Smock. I am a resident of Greytown. Engagement surrounding the rates rise was promoted to me through community consultation and engagement with a figure of 15 to 20%. My actual rate rise this year is 71%, to an eye-watering $13,226.51 for 2 people to reside in the Greytown borough. That equates to $254 per week. To place this rates demand into perspective, the South Wairarapa District's rates are higher than our insurance, our annual electricity bill, larger than our food bill, larger than our petrol bills, in fact are the largest single debt outside of a household mortgage. I have chosen to dispute my rates demand. In the first instance, I contacted several councillors. What was great to see was several councillors made time to come and discuss the current rate rise. This showed strong intestinal fortitude and demonstrated they were on the front foot and willing to engage and listen. This cannot be said for the CEO. Upon requesting a copy of the South Wairarapa District Council's disputes resolution policy so that I may enter into a disputes process, as is my right in New Zealand to dispute any account, I was instructed in the first instance the South Wairarapa District Council does not have a disputes resolution policy and no mediation or communication can be entered into. My only course of action is to take the council to the High Court. Upon further investigation with multiple King's councils and local barristers that reside here in the borough, this is not a true statement, as I have the right to appeal and be heard in an open forum and have property rights under the Treaty of Waitangi as Ngāti Pākehā. My primary concern is that the South Wairarapa District has been unable to apply for funding from central government and garnish a return in any form of grants. My understanding is the South Wairarapa District have not applied to the Shane Jones Regional Economic Development Fund, but the first and only lever is to burden ratepayers with exceptional hikes. Furthermore, the South Wairarapa District's forward financial forecast is now defunct, as it would have taken into account developer contributions and additional ratepayers through growth. Now that Martinborough and Greytown have a council-imposed moratorium on development, this signifies low to nil incoming developer contributions and negates any adding additional ratepayers to the financial base. To follow a plan that is financially flawed is not only foolish, but fiscally dangerous. The current state of the district's infrastructure is not a direct fault of those on council today, but a systemic failure over what now seems to be known as a 30-year period of direct neglect. A choice made by previous councils has seen the infrastructure now at dangerous levels of service, with sewage and E. coli entering into Papua stream and waterways. Comments from council have stated sewage ponds have not been dredged for 30 years. The potable water system is now at a failure point where engineers have recommended do not even touch the current pumping system. In light of what seems to be the inability to gain funding from Wellington, central government, or even have Wellington recognise the current dire financial position of the South Wairarapa, it would be easy to look for blame, but I am more of a solutions forward thinker. The Wairarapa currently returns to central government hundreds of millions of dollars in primary exports: forestry, sheep, beef, horticulture, viticulture, honey, tourism, and kaimoana through fisheries. The Greater Wairarapa was built by central government under the Centralised Ministry of Works over a 90-year process, adding to roading networks, public parks, public facilities, and of course, municipal infrastructure and utilities. It is not an improbability to now maintain this solely on ratepayer funds, but an impossibility. I understand that you are all here to carry out your civic duty the very best that you can, and that is admirable. But now comes the darkest hour. It requires you as individuals and elected council to draw upon your resolve and do what is crucial for the district. And that is for you all to individually and as a council immediately request a commissioner be appointed from central government so that they will be made aware of the dire financial position the South Wairarapa is now in. In closing, I reserve my rights to dispute my account under the Human Rights Bill that protects us all in New Zealand, also under the right of the Treaty of Waitangi as Ngāti Pākehā. I believe you are all here to implement the very best outcomes for the district. Therefore, my suggestion that the current dire financial position of the South Wairarapa district become abundantly clear to Wellington and that you insist on the appointment of a commissioner immediately. I, for one, understand that freedom was hard earned and the men who fought for our freedom, including financial freedom, paid the highest price. I will not sit idly by and watch those hard fought freedoms.
That's for 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you very much for my address today.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I have a clarifying question, but I think you made your position very clear.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay. What is the current plan for council to gain funding from Central Wellington?
Unfortunately, as I said earlier, this isn't a question and answer session, unfortunately, but your comments will be taken on.
Thank you very much.
So we asked
Points.
Yeah, Ryan, do you want to email me a copy of your thing so
Council.
I'll send it around to everyone. Thank you.
our second speaker of the afternoon is Michael Smith. Michael, please join us. So as previously outlined, you also have 5 minutes, but if you can finish early, it allows time for questions at the end, and your time will start as soon as you're ready.
Perfect. Thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate you guys hearing me. I'd like to reiterate what Ryan said. Obviously, majority of the people here rather new councillors, so obviously we're kind of inheriting the mess that we have to fix up. You know, I can see that we're going to be borrowing quite a bit of money. One of the things I'd like to talk about is what the costs are going to be to service that 20 million bond and loans. I also wanted to talk about the roadway by my house, just along Lake Ferry Road, Whakatomatomo, just past Pirinoa. That road, and I'll give you a couple numbers, 149 are the posts that hold that guardrail in place. Does anybody want to take a guess how many of those posts are actually solidly in place? 77. All right, that's about 50%. And of those 77, when I walked that road the other day by myself, of those 77, not all of them are secured. I can shake them with my hand. There are full meters and meters where posts are not even in the ground. At the top of the road, at the intersection, there has been built some form of barrier out of 2x4s, and you could take a small motorcycle or a car underneath that barrier without touching anything. This is not safe. My children travel that road at least 10 times a week just going to and from school. It took me 5 days, 12 emails, over 5 hours of my own time just to find out when this is getting fixed, which should be in November when it dries out. It took me all that time to figure out that it's going to cost $150,000 of our rates, and it's going to take 4 weeks to complete. Now, those numbers, I've done roading before, those numbers rather good in my opinion. 4 weeks, about $5,000 per day, plus all the things that need to go into it. This needs to be addressed. There are no signs. There's no signage saying that it's dangerous. There's slips at the moment that are blocking drainways. And I believe the gentleman on the TV there, we had talked the last time I was in the meeting, and he said that the reason why a lot of the slips happened, like up on the Punatahi, were because of poor maintenance. So now we're incurring the costs because we didn't do the job right in the first place. It's unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable that we have rate hikes. It's unacceptable that in the last 5 years, I've seen at least 2 raises for council. And yet we have services like wastewater, water treatment, and roading that are not up to the standard of even keeping our families safe. Over the next few weeks and going into Christmas, we're going to have lots of trailers, boats, things of that nature. I had to get in touch with Graham Carson from roading. Do we have any roading in Martinborough at our council, or is it all taken care of in Carterton? Because that's where the roading manager is getting back to me from, a different district. He had no idea. He's the roading manager and he had no idea about this. And he had to get back to me. And he said, he copy pasted from one of the engineering reports. The guardrail has become unstable in some areas, but would still help assisted vehicle and impact. I ask you guys to go out there, drive out there and take a look at this guardrail. And ask me if you want to crash your car into it. Do you want my children's school bus to hit that guardrail? Anybody? I'm asking a question. It's not rhetorical. Does anybody want to hit that guardrail? No. So please, I know that you guys have a lot to do, but we need to prioritize things. The safety of our tamariki and our families needs to be first priority. And I'm sick and tired of seeing emails going around saying we've messed up our soup and now we're going into your homes and we're taking pictures of your properties and we're violating your privacy so that we can take more money when you're not spending the money and getting the things done. That's my opinion. And we can disagree and we can have conversations about that in the future, and that's fine. And I'm sorry that I'm frustrated and my voice has come up, but I need to impose upon you guys how important this is. And I want you guys to stop wasting your time with things like equity and pronouns and that kind of stuff. And I want you guys to refocus on what matters and narrow your focus so that we can get the jobs done that are important, instead of bouncing around community wards and all this kind of stuff that we listen to this morning.
5 minutes. So thank you for your time and thank you for your presentation. Unfortunately, there are not time for questions of clarification, but if you did want to pop something into an email, it's as we asked of the earlier presenter, that would give us something in writing to consider as well. Thank you.
Amy Anderson's been CC'd in the majority of the contacts that I've had with Greg and things like that.
That's wonderful.
Sorry, can I ask one quick question to Amy?
I'll probably leave it till after the meeting.
Okay, I just want to know when I'm getting my records, the official request that I put in for all the records relating to this road, please.
Down here is Marty.
And final presenter for the afternoon is Andy. Andy, please come and join us at the table.
Yeah.
Take a seat. As per everybody else, you've got 5 minutes and your 5 minutes starts when you're ready.
I just have a few questions for you guys today, mainly referring to the SUIP review that you're undertaking currently.
I'm just gonna reiterate, we won't be able to answer them in this meeting.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Welcome to ask them and they'll be recorded.
Perhaps we should record them as an Official Information Act request so that I can receive proper answers again. Thank you. My questions are, how many suspected undeclared SUIPs have been reported to the council? By how many informants? It says in the letter, it's come to the attention of the council that there's a lot of SUIPs around that need investigating. You guys are investigating every single property in the South Wairarapa. Seems like a little bit of overreach. I've lucky enough to own a food truck and everybody comes to me and has a chat to me about what's going on in their local community, which is real nice for me. But I have to come and ask you guys the questions myself because everybody else fits skewed. So I've heard multiple reports of council entering people's properties when they're not at home and just leaving a letter in the letterbox saying we've been on your property to have a look around the SUIP. My question regarding this is, does the council have warrants to enter each property in the South Wairarapa? And under whose authority and under which legal jurisdiction have supposed warrants been attained? You guys, as Mike said, mention equity a lot. It's mentioned in the letter you sent out, equity for all and fairness for all ratepayers. I want to know who's driving your guys' equity goals, and how is forcing equity by punishing those who have worked hard to secure a nice home and a comfortable living fair and equitable to all ratepayers? Have ratepayers had their right to self-determination usurped by the council under false pretences? Who owns the properties of the ratepayers? And who gets to decide what ratepayers can do with their own land? Do we have to ask for consent to do anything to our own properties? As a corporation, corporate entity, council must adhere to the basic principles of commerce and are beholden to contract law. Has the council, past or present, used properties directly or indirectly as collateral against council debt? Has the council properly informed each and every ratepayer of the terms of their rates contract with the council and made every effort to clear the obligations of such a contract without any misleading or deceptive terminology? Are the ratepayers made aware in totality of their identity as a ratepayer that is used in their contract with the council, or has the council fraudulently used a corporation name of a person to coerce joinder by the ratepayer, who unwittingly accepts this as their name in order to be able to buy a property or do anything on their property with the council's permission? I would like to take this opportunity to remind everybody around this table that any contract signed under fraudulent pretenses is null and void. Fraud destroys everything it touches. I expect the answers. Thank you.
Sandy?
Thanks.
Right, thank you to all of our presenters this afternoon. We will now move on to the minutes for, urgent business. Any urgent business this afternoon? Certainly none that I am aware of currently. No. Minutes for confirmation. We are now considering the strategy working committee meeting minutes from the 4th and 19th of September. Is there any feedback on the minutes?
Just a little spelling mistake. Suddenly I'm not Ms. V Edwards, I'm Ms. E Edwards. But Amy has rectified that. It's a little thing in their program.
Yeah, fabulous new.
Oh, also, I've got a new name.
There are no further updates to the minutes. Do I have a mover to confirm that the minutes of the strategy committee meeting held on 4th of September are true and correct record? Thank you. Kay and Violet is the seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no.
I'll abstain.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll abstain too, thanks. I wasn't there that day.
Thank you. The motion is carried. And do I have a mover to confirm that the minutes of the strategy working committee meeting held on the 19th of September are true and current record? So Councillor Gray and Violet is the seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried.
I'll abstain.
Abstain.
3 abstentions.
Sorry, had my apologies in.
I went there.
30, was it?
Aidan, that's.
Aidan picking myself.
Any matters arising from the previous minutes, please? No, that being the case, we will move on to report backs and requests from our Māori Standing Committee and community boards. And that is item 9.1. And today we have the Martin Borough Community Board with us. Storm, would you like to join us? Is this Martin Borough Community Board? Yes.
Yeah.
You asked to present? Yes.
I thought we were doing it as a community board presentation section.
This is
This is
it.
the report back.
So it's the report back. So there's 2 sections now. One is for the community boards and Māori Standing Committee to present themselves. And then the bit much later is for our committee members to do.
I thought it was the other way around, sorry.
All yours. Take the floor.
Yeah. So we're just going to make a little presentation on wastewater. Some work that we have done individually. We have steered clear of commercialisation. We're not getting anything commercially involved. We're just trying to put forward ideas to ask if these have been considered in a solution potential for facing the climate. So Karen's got a report she'll read. That's all right.
Have you made provision to provide the report in writing to the committee as well, so that we can,
I've got a number of copies here, but I can also send it.
if you could send it to us, that
Let me send it to you.
Could I just ask, Karen, is this the same presentation that you gave to the district plan?
It's similar.
And have you seen a response back from officers on your submission?
Have I had a response?
Yeah, it's on the website. So all the response to your submission is on the website, and which is in the right of reply by officers. Okay, so maybe you might want to, before you present that, perhaps read the response first, because
Perhaps you could give us a summation.
probably better for Russell to do it, but
Sorry, I apologise, but because I'm not on the combined district, I have no idea what it is that you are going to present, and I just think that possibly if we could just hear or see, if you please, we can have a look and.
you do your presentation, and we can check and please do submit the.
Yeah, just so we can have it. Sure.
Here it got. So the topic is alternative wastewater solutions in Martinborough Village specifically. And currently South Wairarapa District Council, as we know, are not able to set any new connections to central wastewater system. And this obviously puts the brakes on development. The situation is not expected to be resolved for several years. We're not quite sure how many. Planning for a solution to this and the other multiple water infrastructure projects urgently requiring resolve in our regions now, with a project called Local Water Done Well. As you probably know, a dedicated team from the Wairarapa District Councils, including Te Aroha, working together to design an organisation to manage our combined urban needs in that area as a standalone entity. So this is a new initiative. We hope this is a better approach than the previous one, which has led us down some very expensive blind alleys, as we're all aware of. But although the fix in the ground will be some time away. The Wairarapa Combined District Plan, on the topic of wastewater, the subdivision rule SUB S4 under matters of discretion states topic 3, where a central system is unavailable, all allotments must be provided with a septic tank, sewage field, or an approved alternative means to dispose of sewage in a sanitary manner within the net site of the allotment in accordance with council's engineering standards. That to me reads like an obligation on the council to at least assess some of these options. So we request that our council do that and provide any that are suitable. You may have already done it, I'm not aware of it. Provide any that may be suitable and the rules around them so that new builds can be considered in suitable situations. Each proposal will obviously be totally site specific in terms of the ground conditions and the site conditions. MB have a document which gives guidance on the legislation around this, building performance. The topic of it is on-site disposal of wastewater. I've given there's URL there, there's a URL to get into that topic, talks about the building code compliance, G13, foul on-site disposal of wastewater. There's also a relevant New Zealand standard, or ASNZ as they are, Australia New Zealand Standard 1547 2012 it is, for on-site domestic wastewater management, and there's guidance in that standard for the council to look at what they might be able to consent. Several local authorities are consenting on-site standalone wastewater systems that I'm aware of. Gisborne City is one, I believe Queenstown and Auckland too. So there's been, I've kind of thought perhaps the small wastewater system standalone might be the way to go. Another option that has been mooted, I'm not sure if it's practical, is to hold the waste and truck it to a treatment plant that's got some extra capacity. I'm not sure whether that's practical but that would be something else that had been mooted. So just to close, it's essential for continued growth and development to be possible in Martinborough Village. We cannot simply pause development for the many years unknown until the new infrastructure is in place. A town which cannot grow will inevitably decline.
Thank you. Is that it's clear? So time for questions. Any questions?
Can I just add a statement to that? Yes. The statement is consider these as options, maybe on a temporary basis, before you have a final solution. But these things we now operate a standalone scenario that they can then be connected to a major wastewater system. So the idea is, instead of stopping the development, make a temporary arrangement. And I don't know the rules that you have to apply to that, but you can apply to this with a temporary arrangement, with the full course being that it will ultimately be connected when the system can take it. So that's the whole idea. And as I say, there are commercial operations that are doing it. We're not getting involved with the commercial operations. We're just asking the question of can this
Be consented.
To consider, councillor Maynard and then councillor.
Thank you. So thank you for that clarification, Storm. So what you're actually saying is that these are options for new builds. So for anyone that at the moment hasn't been able to continue on,
Yeah.
if they're unable to access into the wastewater treatment. Okay, fabulous. Thank you. I just wanted that clarification and if we could have a copy, just because it sounds like there's some links there that we probably need to have a look at, and that would be really good to be able to actually make a decision.
Problem when you're looking at consents you've got to go through. That's why we're saying the council, maybe we need to investigate if it's possible within your own scope.
Yeah, and councillor.
Just to the legislative guidelines.
Yeah, that's great, though, so we can actually have it.
Engineers benefit.
Councillor.
Yeah, thanks. So Karen, if you go back to the district plan page, and you will see the officers where all your evidence is there, and the section 42A report is there.
Is it helpful?
It's down there and it gives it's all there for you. But I'll read out the important part for you so that councillors here are aware as well. Standard GRZ S10, which deals with general residential zone. So that all buildings must be provided with a connection to the articulated wastewater thing, as you rightly said. Resource consent can be sought for alternative wastewater servicing options, and consideration of this matter is reflected in the matter of discretion for GRZ S10. So what you're asking for is actually in the plan, but an applicant has to provide for the resource consent for it. But I'll just read the next paragraph because that's important for you. As any part of the resource consent process, the applicant would need to demonstrate how and why an alternative solution is appropriate in the context of the site. And this can vary greatly, and that's why it's a resource consent issue per site. Right. Okay. The applicant would likely need to engage a wastewater engineer to provide advice on appropriate wastewater servicing to support their application, rather than it being the role of council. Okay, so it's the individual's responsibility to provide the proposed solution. Okay.
But the council needs to be receptive to.
The council under GRZ S10, the council is there. That there's an appropriate mechanism to do it. The council, if somebody came to put their resource consent in, the council must go through the process and see whether it is appropriate for the site. So that rule's there. So what you were asking for is actually in the district plan.
In the draft district plan.
It's in the draft. Well, it was in the previous one as well.
So it is in the current district.
Yeah, it's current in the current one now. Yeah.
I did ask that question at Kitchener Street a few weeks ago, and the answer was that I don't think anyone's asked that.
But it is in the plan and it is available should people wish to go down that line.
Good to know.
Any further questions for?
Council, whether it's going to be adopted for the future plan, because it's
Thank you again for your presentation and for your time. Very thoughtful and yeah, we'll consider it when we get your written version as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Aaron, go back to the district plan and you'll see in response to your submission.
Where's that a copy?
Can I just show you where to find it?
Yeah.
I'll just carry on. Karen, it's like a copy, so she can. We will continue to carry on. So we are moving now to item 10. From the chief. The first being item 10.1, the customer services.
They're drowning your voice out. It sounds like background.
We're now moving on to item 10.1, customer services response improvements report. Mr. Vince is so prompt. He's already at the table. Can you please just highlight any key points for discussion? Taking the paper as read, please.
Thank you, Chair. So it just outlines improvements to our customer services approach. This is a mix of cultural process and system changes. The key focus is putting customer at the heart of all of what we do, and then having the data and intelligence to review what we're doing well and where we can improve from a customer point of view. This will be an ongoing process as we refine and build the approach, and welcome any questions really from the report.
Does any of the committee members have questions of Matt, please?
It's not really a question, it's just more of a comment. Reading through the report, it strikes me that what that's going to come out of this is going to represent quite significant foundational change to how we work as an organisation and how people are able to engage with the council officers. And I thought it was a very well written report, lots of good information, and I'd like to say congratulations to you and also throw one at the table to our CE. I think that this is the sort of thing that speaks to a cultural change that we have really enjoyed since you've come on board, and it's great to see that the fruits of that coming out. So thank you both.
Very well said. Councillor Evans.
Thanks, Matt, for the report, the detail in it. It was great to be able to read through and see that you've captured the issues that not only us as councillors, but members of our communities have identified and problems that they've had in the past and identified solutions to go forward. So yeah, I'd just like to second Bex's bouquet, because certainly in the lead up to the recruitment process for our CE, a CRM or customer relationship management model was discussed by councillors around this table, and certainly over the time that Janice has been on board. Obviously there's been a lot of work occurring in the background, but to see that this piece of work now coming to the table, it's great to see, and I'm looking forward to the changes as they evolve, so that not only will it benefit the organisation as a whole of council, but also our wider community as well. Thank you.
It's not repeating quite a lot of what's already been said, but I think it's almost worth repeating. This is actually fantastic. Yes, and I yes, it was noted that it's a area of expertise and interest that we were looking for. The new chief executive we have, and you know, it's interesting that nearly 1 year since new chief executive's been appointed, this much progress has been made on this change of culture. Thank you.
I think this is great, and I think it's also been a long time coming. Just with where we understand from being around this table the concerns that people are always saying, you know, like have information there, feeling that they're needing information from council. This is actually going to be able to help ensure that we are making sure that we're putting our ratepayers and their queries so that way they're prioritised, and that's really cool. And another thing that I really like is that it says on here that there are no financial implications arising from this report, so that's lovely. Thank you.
So I was going to add, one of the first things when we came on council was we were given a fairly damning report that had done over how the public perceived council, and as somebody who comes from a hospitality background with customer relations, everything, I was appalled at how the systems flowed and the discussions we had. Then I became aware that council moves at a glacial speed to get anything done. So that, and the fact that we've taken nearly 2 years to get to this point is well, one thing, but that we have got to this point is to be congratulated. So thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you. I'm sensing a theme here, so I'm going to test my luck and move to the recommendations for the report, of which we have 3. I'm going to take them as a job lot. They are to approve the proposed scope and timeline to implement the improved customer service response approach at SWDC. They are to note that the approach covers 4 key areas, namely a customer-centric approach for customer services and business processes, knowledge base of key inquiries, systems upgrade to enable better automation and communication with customers, self-service digitization of internal and external processes where possible, and 3, note the systems upgrade work requires greater scoping to determine what is possible with existing tools and what may require development work. Should the existing budget not be sufficient for systems configuration, further paper will be submitted to this committee for consideration. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Aidan, and a seconder, Violet. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no.
I'm an aye.
And an aye there, Peter. The motion is carried. Thank you very much, Matt. That moves us along to item 10.2, the dog control policies and practices 2023, 2024 and 2022. 2023, is that the right date?
2023?
Yes. We will, so we'll have Mia and Russell join us to give us any key points or highlights of the paper, noting that it is well read.
Thank you. Yes, those dates are correct. If I can just point out in the report that is dated 2022 to 2023, the report was published as is required under the Act. Unfortunately, an oversight with the absence of manager in my position and other circumstances that did not reach a council meeting. However, I have confirmed it was published on our webpage, hence the 2 reports of work being given today. Other than what's in the report, if you have any other questions.
Any questions for the team?
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. I just got a question on what seems to be a very big increase of attacks on persons. And I'm really interested to know were there any prosecutions or were there any dogs put down?
So I did note those figures here. I don't have any exact figures of dogs that may have been euthanized as part of connection to this. I can provide that information. I did note that. Sorry. And in relation to that, that may include, and I don't have the breakdown of each of those 22, but it may include reports of near misses or not actual physical attacks included in that, and how the matter was reported to us as an attack on a person.
Could you provide that information, because it'd be very interesting. It's a 300% increase on previous years.
I just wanted to clarify almost the exact same point, because it feels to me like rushing or something like that has been possibly put into attacks, which so where a dog has come towards someone.
Yeah. Breakdown. I did note that myself, and yes, put in that I don't have any included in that any physical injuries. I would be able to provide that.
Any further questions? No, that being the case, there are 1 recommendations. Yes. Councillor Plummer, would you like to add your question about the attacks on persons added as a resolution?
No, it could just be I
No.
want to come back. It doesn't need to be a resolution, just an action item to bring it. Yeah.
So I've got it written down, so I'm sure. Brilliant, thank you. Do I have, we'll take them as a job lot, so do I have a mover, please, to receive the dog control policy and practices 2023, 24 and 22, 23 report, adopt the dog control policies and practices 23, 24 report, 3, adopt the attached report appendix 1 on dog control policies and practices for 2022, 23, and 4, authorise the chief executive to make the reports publicly available and by public notice. So that mover is councillor Gray, seconder is Violet. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Right.
Those against, no. The motion is carried. Moving through item 10.3, the adoption of the 2025 schedule of meetings. Thank you both. We will now be moving on to item 10.3, the adoption of the 2025 schedule of meetings. Thomas, would you like to take us through any highlights of the report or key points for discussion?
Madam Chair, not really. I'll take it as a read. I think the team's done a good job to get this early to council. We certainly have items starting to line up in the new year, particularly things like LTP, critically important to the council. So, yeah, just take it as read. Welcome any feedback or changes, suggestions.
Thank you. Committee members, any changes or comments for Councillor Maynard?
Thank you. I'd say, noticing that there was a lot of pink, and I see that that's around school holidays, but I do wonder why for the whole of January, we're not looking at having any meetings when we do have like long-term plan and things coming through.
Just a comment that often staff will take leave during that period. There's quite a lot of businesses as well that may not be visible during the period. So typical contractors
as well.
Or stuff. So those early 2 weeks in January often is a bit of a down period of that leave.
But this literally doesn't have any meetings or anything going on until the 28th, when council is meant to be open from much earlier. And I understand, but it's like anything where we're always needing to, right throughout the whole year, ensure that there's like leave and things going on. And I just feel like this does appear to not have as many meetings as in the past.
Yeah, it's always the same pattern as the current year. So we didn't meet until early February.
It's just coming.
In January, that usually starts with the the same pattern as the current year.
No, we did. You want people to take their leave?
Sorry,
I just want to add that it takes roughly 2 to 3 weeks to start compiling agendas as well. So even if staff were back in the first or second week, it still takes a lot of time to get the system as well. So just noting some practical aspects of.
Any further questions or comments for Councillor?
I'd just like to make a comment. They're looking here on the schedule of meetings. It's 53 weeks to the election day for local government. So through to hey.
That's a celebration of the weeks to date, isn't it, Councillor? That being the case, we'll move.
So may I just ask one more thing as well? This says that we're adopting it for councils and committees, but we're just talking about the council and committees, not the multi-standing committee that has to go through to amend this. Thank you.
Do I have a mover, please, to adopt the 2025 schedule of ordinary meetings for council and committees? Councillor Plimmer, Councillor Olds.
Noting only 53 weeks to go. And counting. Yeah.
All those in favour, please say
aye.
Aye.
53 weeks.
The motion is carried. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
That takes us through all of our decision papers, and we now move on to information reports from the CE and council officers. We are looking now at item 11.1. The actions item reports. Any updates from officers on any of the current action items? Or any questions from the committee for any of the open action items?
Just sort of one, just to absolutely put them on the spot. Councillor Bosley, you've got 409 with the no-mo policy. The last is, it says it's for your follow-up. Have you followed it?
For my follow-up.
Yeah, it says That next week was missed. It says
So just for some context,
Was it?
I think the last conversation with, as a committee with Stefan was that, that the officers are now looking for this to be driven either from the community courts or from council, which is probably why it has your name now next.
Oh, okay, good to know. And we'll be following up as the sanction point. I do believe it's taken much backseat as being a very, very low priority in the scheme of things and the problems that we are facing. Which is why it's been on since April of last year.
One would hope
About the glacial speed earlier.
hope that as it's also a low financial investment project that would be driven with passion.
The idea is that it would actually save us money as well, which was also the primary driver from the first place.
Yeah.
So it's possible to link in with the LTP work.
Well, that's what I was advised. That was
Desperate eye from.
well, that was the advice I was given, that the place this began, the place for this to be positioned was within the LTP rather than.
Mr. Corbett, any comment, please?
It's just a chair, just a reminder of the previous conversation, which was that it's a good idea. It's worth investigating, and the suggestion was, I think it's been made a few times now, to select a street.
That's right.
In Greytown and get work with the community, put in the community on that street to trial it and see how it runs. And then we can have a look at how it operates, and we can see, we can learn from it. And then from that pilot, we could take it from there. I think that was where it gets left.
That was my recollection as well. Same place as boom planting. So there's a lovely opportunity for some partnership between NOMO and boom planting to
Well, there was also this.
run.
Yeah, well, there was also discussion that this was happening in Featherston as well.
Yeah, so that Featherston has the boom planting.
So I provided a lot of information to them.
Just needs to be some hand holding and some partnership.
I'm good at holding.
Still sits.
Even when it's not people.
Sits with members. Any other questions, Councillor Pitt?
Yeah, I have two, 126, and I just wonder whether Janice, number 2 there gives you the authority to move on anyway, as we were discussing.
Thanks, Pat, that's true.
It was passed as a resolution of the committee, so.
So
Enough.
it does require a report back to strategy working.
Yeah, but it allows you to seek the legal advice and so on and so forth. Do you want to?
Which is,
that's what we're doing.
we've received that now, so we will be preparing a report.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, then can we close that item then?
Not until we've pushed the report through strategy work.
Yeah, 357 you can close. I emailed everybody literally that afternoon and got very little support.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Colin.
That's it, I'm just looking at it.
Very fast.
Don't be sorry.
Right.
To the most. Any further updates?
Through the chair, 101 from the 4th of September, that exercise was completed. And we're now just going through the data analysis this week, so that one can be closed.
Which one?
The data integrity check has been completed.
We will now move on.
Sorry, could we, perhaps, Janice, could you give us a little bit of, on this sewer update and the investigation? Want to give us a little bit of an update on where things are and how it's progressing and what's actually going on in the community with it? It'd be quite useful to have a bit of,
I did see that
from your perspective.
home that there was meant to be a knock and find out one more.
We'll do that now, or do you want to do it?
Back through the chair, I can't tell you the numbers of anything that's been found because that's what they're working on now. The process that was followed was there were 2 teams of 3. Both teams were led by a warranted council officer, so 2 council members, staff members who are warranted officers led each team. There was a letter drop done to all urban residences within Featherston, Greytown and Martinborough ahead of any checking happening to advise why the teams would be out what to expect to see. They all had high-vis vests. They all had IDs. They were wearing body cams just in case they encountered any negative behaviour on the street, but the body cams were not there to record anything or to take any pictures. Nobody was approved to enter a property if the homeowner didn't give permission. So if they couldn't clearly see from the roadside, they would knock on the door to seek access. And if the homeowner declined, then no more action would be taken from that inspection by that person. We would send a statutory declaration to the homeowner to say, this is what we know. You now need to confirm that this is correct. So we've had a few queries about privacy breaches and invasive searching of properties. That's not what this is about at all. I've also heard comments around we were looking for unconsented buildings. That is not the case. So if it could be done from the roadside and without accessing the property at all, it was done that way. So all 3 towns have now been completed and all the information is now flowing back into the building so that we can now look at what we've got from that exercise versus what we've got on the system. And any points of clarification will go back out to the homeowners.
Just the feedback that I've had, contrary to something we might have heard during public participation, is that the exercise was very painless, very, well, hardly worth mentioning. And I haven't spoken to anybody who had the slightest problem. So whatever was planned, etc., I'm not sure if anyone's here who did that, but it was well done.
No problem, sorry. Statutory declarations, is there going to be a rush of statutory declarations or whatever? So I know Paul has spoken.
Paul, but he's not well, so he's not here today, but
I know he's warned out the JPs to do that. But it's something that we could, I'm quite happy to spend time in the library, for example, in Greytown and do 2 or 3 hours for people to make statutory declarations on a particular day if they need to. But so it'd be good to get some idea about.
I'll ask Paul to contact you.
I had one inquiry which is regarding security screening and with the people that are carrying out the inspections, had they been
yes, all of
screened? I assumed they had, but I said I'd double check.
I just had one concern where someone had received a letter and then they weren't, when they were at work, that they were advised by a neighbour that it took place. Someone went and they are not on, so they are down a driveway. They were advised that someone had been around their property, and so they weren't very pleased with regards to that. And there was nothing that was left saying that it had been done. So I think possibly just to ensure, because it could be that the letter had been left and they didn't find it, but if we can just ensure that every property that had been looked at is receiving confirmation. We have checked one. So firstly, because I've been
inspected twice.
I haven't. Well, I don't know if I have. I have not ever received anything for myself, for my property, and I live on my own, so I would be the only person that would be able to say, come onto my property. So that's just an example, and so I'm assuming it hasn't been done yet. But I just have a concern.
All 3 towns have been done.
Okay.
Letter drops took place beforehand, and an A5 response was left in letterboxes. So unless they couldn't find the letterbox or somehow it's.
I did receive the letter saying that it was going to happen, but I have not received anything saying it has happened. So
they left them with everyone.
The only thing I received.
A letter left afterwards.
Yes, there's one afterwards to say we've been today, and if we need any further information, we'll be in touch. Is what it says.
Maybe they haven't been.
They have. They've done all 3.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that is nothing. Yeah. So it's something much younger.
Moving along. Any last questions before we move to appointment report? We'll move on to so 12.1 Community Climate Change and Environment Portfolio Update. Do you have anything you'd like to? Thank you. Anything you'd like to add?
The only very small thing that I would like to add is that I did have a little bit of a typo in it. Under the Wellington Regional Joint Committee Waste Management Minimisation Plan. In there, I refer to a conversation I've had with Mandy about an application to the Ministry for Environment for funding for a feasibility study, and I've referred to our joint Wairarapa Council funding request. And then I had a long and circuitous conversation with a reporter yesterday around what the joint Wairarapa Council is. There is no joint Wairarapa Council. It was a joint application from the Wairarapa councils, just to make that
very clear.
So that was my bad. But apart from that, there's not really anything that I want to speak to in my portion of the report. I'm happy to take it as read. If anybody's got any questions or.
It's a really thorough.
Yeah, that's what kind of spot all the information on your question.
It's a lot, yeah. You know, it won't always be this long, but what I would like to do is, if it's okay for you, Madam Chair, throw over to Rob for the report that you've put in as well. Just, yeah, the kind of work that's going on with it, yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, just thank you to the committee for her report that we could help contribute towards. It's the first time we've compiled this, really giving light to the work that the community development team are doing. I just want to point out that there's obviously staff that we have internally, whether they are funded by rates or funded by external providers, but also the shared services as well. And that's across the different councils. So there's quite a lot of coordination that goes on in relation to that. So this is the first report. I would welcome any feedback that you've got, that you'd like to see. What it is, I try to focus it on strategies that we have in the work programs. So it's really specific about what is being delivered by those strategies. There's a couple of things I just wanted to point out there. Our youth advisor, which you've probably never met because every Wednesday she's actually meeting with the youth groups. She's looking at developing a youth council, and so has put a flyer out into.
I think she's looking at developing a youth advisory group.
Yep.
As opposed to a youth council.
Yep. So we're just currently reviewing the terms of reference around that. Yeah, there are young people who are keen to engage the council. Talk about a number of things from climate change and other things to do for young people. Also, she's only been in the role for this report at 5 months now, 6 months, and she's going to be focusing a lot on some of the schools as well, how to engage with kids at school. So that's more the 11 to 13-year-olds, is mostly focused around that. And also, you know, we've been engaging with the police around some of the youth activities that's been going on, not so great. So there's sort of really positive youth development work, but there's also some of this kind of lift and health profile of those kids at risk as well. Yeah, so that's really just wanted to highlight that in particular. We were looking to do a review of the Rumahanga climate change strategy at the end of this year, but the LTP has beat us to it. So we'll look at doing that with you, LTP, after the LTP come back. In the interim, we're looking at a couple of projects that are still outstanding on the list to deliver before then. So we're coming back with what those initiatives are in probably the next report. Also just wanted to point out positive ageing that we're giving out 50 bags relating to one of the major barriers for people getting ready for self-defence events that they can't afford these grab bags. So that's been made available to us, which is great, and being handed out to older people in the community to help support them.
Any questions for either Councillor Gray or Rob on their reports, please?
Possibly less a question or an observation, which relates to page 46, where the sentence remaining 30% will be evenly split between the three councils. It's not that I think it is that much significance in this particular case, but the traditional practice has been to split those sorts of things on a per capita basis. And I think that's probably a good principle that adhere to. In general.
Are you talking about for the feasibility?
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? An indication of the thorough nature of the reports.
So very positive, which I quite.
Says, good report to read.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Oh.
I know.
That being the case, we will move on to members' feedback from the multi-standing committee board. So thank you for your time, Rob. Councillors, do you have anything to report back from either the multi-standing committee or any of the community boards? Elams.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll received some bullet points from MCB on what they have been up to in the last month or so. So recently there's been a Considine Park user group meeting. Considine Park is park at the entrance to Martinborough, right next to campground on Princess Street. So and that's where the Wheels Park is going to be constructed, with construction starting there next month on the basis of the community fundraising, which has funded, I think, over $250,000 for that project. So Youth Park User Group that's had a meeting. Storm and Angela had attended the LTP workshop for community boards, and that was run by council staff and are working on some key topics which affect Martinborough. There was a psychological first aid course held in Martinborough yesterday that Angela and I think Pip and Mel had attended. We're raising some key topics or issues from a resilience perspective. I've also met with Cheryl from Wellington Free Ambulance to discuss possible locations for additional AEDs to be installed around Martinborough and the district, the Martinborough ward subject to funding. On Saturday, the 21st of October, the Community Board had initiated and hosted the Community Emergency Hub Open Day, which was held here at the Waihinga Centre. God, my shorthand. I stand corrected. About 2 weeks ago. So that event had occurred. It was supported by Council. Nigel was here to help run that. Council also brought down one of the water tanks to offer up as a raffle prize. Angela's certainly appreciative of Nigel and the assistance that he's been providing around that resilience and those emergency hub open day. Apparently about 80 people attended. There was presence from the local fire brigade, Remo, Mitre 10 here in Martinborough donated and loaned their barbecue trailer. The community market kitchen crew arrived to provide food. Martinborough Toy Library. Also, there was the community patrol had a stand seeking new members, and fire brigade was involved as well. So yes, certainly beneficial for all who attended, with the view to I suppose illustrate how the emergency hub would work, and show people that the emergency hub is run by the community for the community, and there's no one person. Well, in this case, one person did stand up to sort of oversee and supervise, but there's no one person who is designated as the overseer or the supervisor to run things. It's run by the community for the community. So that was a good, well-run day by Community Board.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great update. Who would like to go next?
Okay, Māori Standing Committee.
Regular.
Okay, so currently we're excited because we've had somebody approach us to run as the Māori ward. Next election, so that's awesome. So, no, not me. Already too busy. But, so at the moment, we're currently thinking about how we're going to educate our whānau on all of this stuff. And then, you know, getting them into the poll to vote. Also, we have our Kākahu presentation on the 19th of October, where Ngāti Hikuera are presenting our council with a Kākahu that is named Ngāti Hikuera, so that they are part of everything we do. And also, we've got a couple of things that we need to have a look at, the Wahinga Wellness Walk, the Ruamahanga development schemes, all of those things. Because, there's just a few things we'd like them to clarify for us. So good things happening at the moment. So, yeah.
We're fine, you know what?
Yes. And we had a taiao wānanga in the weekend, very successful. So we know that everything we've been doing in our swamplands, all the plantings that our kids have been doing over the last 20 years is working. So we just need to grow more trees. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Councillor Bosley?
Not much to report from the GCB. I was away the weekend when they had the consultation at Swords Memorial Park. So Woody might be able to be better speak to that. But the main thing that they've done recently was the stakeholders meeting, which we had, which is about the parks and reserves, which is being a follow-up meeting held at the end of this month to follow up on some of the questions and queries that were raised from those who attended that meeting.
Did you want to add anything to that, Councillor?
Yeah, but as Alistair and Melissa and Aidan know, the Gradian water meeting, consultation meeting at the park the other day went quite well. There was quite a good turnout. I think people were generally quite happy that we turned out to talk to them. Don't know if they're happy about what's happening, but that's a whole nother story. There were some very experienced people there in that field to talk to too, which was quite interesting, engineers and stuff. So yeah, it was good.
Thank you. And Councillor Gray and I can wrestle over who gives the update.
Well, there hasn't been much action from the Featherston Community Board already. However, that's going to change tonight. So we had an informal meeting a few weeks ago that you and I both weren't able to attend, nor was the other female representative there. So it was a boys only meeting. So I don't know what happened there and they're not talking.
What's about the rugby?
So we have another informal meeting tonight, and I believe we're going to be discussing or starting to put together a bit of a plan about what we're doing with a small pot of money that we have from a sale of property previously, and what we're going to do with that going forward, and how we're going to work with the community around that. EP planning discussions around things, and then also just to sort of throw back to within my report, there's a section that Annalisa prepared around Bar Brown Reserve, and she's been quite active in that space with other groups of predator-free Featherston, and there's some people who have family ties to the area, so she's doing some pretty good work there. Not sure what's going to happen with it next, but it's still in play. So yeah. So
thank you everyone for those community board and committee report backs. It's good to get a really clear view of what's happening quite a community.
So I really give a quick update on the district plan as well. Sorry, I didn't get it put into the agenda, but it's an ongoing thing securing all the time. So just to continue where we are.
Yes.
Okay.
Most of the community boards, can you bring it to the next as a formal paper?
Oh, I won't be presenting a formal paper for it because there's nothing to write because all the papers are there, but just to tell you the progress about how we're going because I can't tell you the outcome.
That's fine. We'll
Right.
make space for it in the next meeting. We're now going to enter into public excluded as per our agenda. Do we have a mover to enter into public excluded? Thank you. Right. Public resolution to exclude the public. The public be excluded from the following parts of the proceeding of this meeting. The general subject matter of each matter to be considered by the public is excluded. And the reason for this resolution in relation to each matter and the specific grounds under section 48 of the Local Information and Meetings Act for passing this resolution are as follows. General subject of each matter to be considered is 13.1 SWDC office accommodation update. The reason for passing this resolution in relation to each matter is S7 2B. The withholding of the information is necessary to protect the information where the making available of the information would be likely to reasonably prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied or who is the subject of the information. Grounds under 48 for the passing of this resolution are S48 1A1. The public conduct of the relevant part of the proceedings of the meeting will be likely to result in the disclosure of information for which good reason for withholding would exist under section 6 or section 7. And the plain English reason for passing this resolution in relation to each matter is to protect external consultants and contractor fee proposals. Do I need to put it to the vote, Amy? Yeah. No, do I need a second? Sorry. I had a Councillor Gray. Councillor Gray. And a seconder, please, Councillor Maynard. And all those in favour of moving to public excluded, please say aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion is carried, and we will just take a moment to turn off the live stream and then move into public excluded. Thank you very much.
I'm going to need to be.
We're going.
My mic, yeah.